Hello. Welcome everyone to Young Reech Capital. This is Bitcoin. We are looking at Bitcoin on the 1 minute time frame. I have jumped into a live trade, a simple 1.7 hour trade. Be aware and note this disclaimer right here because the market is volatile. I'm trading with low risk, the small capital. As usual during New York Open, that is the way to go because, of course, there's a lot of manipulations, especially at the Open. If you look at this is, I think, about 1 hour. This is at 8 a.m. New York time. So it's like 1 hour before the New York Open, and just look at the choppy price action that was taking place out here. So the logic behind this trade is actually very simple. We had some nice trend formations during the Asia and London session after we broke this trend from last night, right? Yeah, this was last night's trend, pretty much yesterday's. This entire move was yesterday's trading session, all of this. So as soon as we had this small minor move, and there is additionally another reason why I took this trade. Get this disclaimer up top here. There's a very important reason why I took this trade. The trend line break is my second confirmation. The primary confirmation was this Fibonacci retracement right here. If you look at this, we had a high formation. Also, we do have a low formation here as well, but I chose not to take this as a low. I mean, I could have. It doesn't really matter based on your personal trading strategy. You can choose which swing low or swing high you want to start from to draw in the retracement. Some people would have taken this, but from my personal trading experience, I like to do it a certain way, and I took this as a retracement. Well, honestly, this could also have been a possibility, but I do like to get a little more tighter with my entry. So regardless, this was my first signal that I got in my system of trading is essentially the Fibonacci golden pocket tap of this swing high and this swing low. Also, this is an additional possibility where if you had taken this high, this low, we'd still be getting a tap of the 618 level of the Fibonacci, which is the golden pocket zone, right? Quite simple, lovely confirmation, and we had this break of this structure on the trend line. So I've placed my target right here. Let me get rid of the Fibonacci before that. All right. So I have placed my target here because this is my entry. This is my stop loss, my target right here. The reason I placed my target here is because we have this trend line. We have a double tap right here, and I'm expecting it to get a third tap. And honestly, it is probably going to hold up. If it doesn't hold up, we might get something like this where we tap into this low, possibly a sweep of the liquidity here, and then we might come back to test this trend. If that doesn't happen, we might also get to see a tap of this level, which is this low that was put in just this morning, right? At this low, we might get something like this, possibly. So these are all the scenarios that I'll be looking at. Once we get some structure formations out at this trend line zone, right? This will be an important trend line area. So I'm just going to play it simple. As I've said, this is a very cool 1.7 hour trade. You can look at it. Quite a simple trade. We've been tagged in and going to hit TP quite soon as well. Simple, high confidence trade, high probability trade. And there was some news that came through as well. I have to look it up. I think it was the CPI data. Might be mistaken. Let me just confirm that. Inflation news. Let's take a look. Inflation news. It's 2 hours ago. Inflation slowed more than expected in April. Interesting. Lowest level since 2021. Yeah, so the CPI data is also. So yeah, this is bearish, right? Inflation cooled in April, but yeah, not bad. Picked up to 2 points from the month earlier, more than half increased due to. Okay, yeah, so we've increased, which is bearish. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Unexpectedly increases 12th Feb. Okay, we need some breaking news. Probably have to go into. Yeah, yeah, we're seeing a bearish reaction. If you look at the SPX, we're seeing a move to the upside, which is slightly unusual that SPX is doing something like this and Bitcoin is going down. Usually does not happen as much. Interesting. Yeah, very interesting actually. Like to go back to Bitcoin. Yeah, there has been some interesting developments on Bitcoin because we did have some thing that happened yesterday based on, so this was when, I think this was when Trump announced the reduction of tariffs on BTC. We had this move up, right? And then as soon as we moved up, we moved into the $105,000 region. Broke down massively from that. Almost of, what was it? 4,600 points in a span of just, I think, about 12 hours. 12 hours, we've come down by 5%, which made it even more hectic on Ethereum. Ethereum came down even more than what it was expected to do. But overall, we have been saturated for some time now on Bitcoin and Ethereum. Of course, Ethereum is a little more saturated than Bitcoin because Bitcoin has been trading well overall. So we didn't have that unhealthy pump, random pump. It was traded well, and we entered into a good zone by zone, and then we slowly made its way to about 105K, right? Whereas Ethereum was not the same. Ethereum had a massive pump, which was essentially a huge short squeeze scenario that happened, and which is why we had that massive move to 2000. What is it at? $2,540 right now. Huge, massive move on Bitcoin. Excuse me, Ethereum. Crazy move. So be aware that Ethereum has now reached a really extreme level of resistance. And I'll get to Ethereum in a minute once we start clearing up this trade. But no matter, I'm not going to sit and wait for this trade to finish up. In the meantime, I'm going to start doing some Ethereum stuff, and we'll get back to the Bitcoin chart in a moment. Really curious to see what Ethereum is doing on the higher time frame. See, I had marked this out. This level is going to be important right here, which is the 2272 level on Ethereum. Ha, look at this quick scalp trade that I took just before this massive pump. Imagine if I had held that trade. It would have given me a 47 hour, 1 is to 47 trade that would have been. Because that is improbable to hold trades for 47 times the initial capital, or in general to hold it for so long with when the primary objective of the trade was a scalp trade and it was successful, completed. And that was a 4 hour trade, which is again a pretty massive trade. Usually my trades are on average between 1 is to 3, and when I tend to get a 4 to 5 hour trade, it is obviously awesome to take those kind of trades, right? So now if I look at the 4 hour chart, I'm going to keep this blue line here because I feel like this line is going to be very important for Ethereum. Because if we start having to come down on Ethereum, we're going to start taking support in this zone. This zone is going to be a very important zone for Ethereum. Out here is going to be super important because if at all the price has to do anything, it's going to have to react based off of this consolidation, this weird consolidation right here. It's going to have to react off of this level. Once it reacts off of this level, then we'll see. Then we'll figure it out and see whether we want to take shots to the upside or downside. Let it come into the zone. Let it start creating some kind of structure. That's when we'll know what Ethereum is trying to do. But at the moment, based on this kind of chart formation, it is slightly funky. For lack of a better word, Ethereum is creating a sort of funky price action on the higher time frame. Could probably look at it as a head and shoulder pattern. Now we're retesting the neckline essentially for a move to the downside. There are more bearish patterns forming on Ethereum than the bullish patterns, and also be aware of this scenario. We are at the golden pocket on the 5 minute chart. I've been thinking it's the 4 minute chart. Regardless, we still gonna see what it's showing us, right? This is the 18. This is the low that it put in right here, and then now we're starting to create this head and shoulder pattern. It takes some support here. Then now we are looking at some kind of potentially bearish scenario playing out. Possible. See, this is going to be invalidated. The short. If I'm going to be taking a short here, be targeting this between this zone, right? The 0.25 and the zero point 0.5 standard deviation minus, right? So with all of this in place, I'm going to go into the 4 hour chart, and the 4 hour is going to tell me the perfect story of what Ethereum is trying to do at the moment. So if you look at this, I've marked out some key levels on Ethereum. I'm going to mark out some additional key levels as well. Very important additional key levels. I think it was this chart that I did yeah, there we go. This was the chart that I had done the analysis previous to this. Before we had all of this, I think we were at this consolidation zone when I ended up taking this chart breakdown, and essentially these values were put in during this consolidation. And at that time I was slightly annoyed with Ethereum's price action because it was doing this. Also did mention that we need to get a break off of this consolidation to tap into this zone. And I was quite excited to take a shot here actually in this zone. I'm sure a lot of people were excited as well. I'm going to keep this as, so I'm going to get rid of that thing right there. A moment. All right. So this, you see this 2000 price marker, right? This one. I had set up some alerts to take a shot here because pretty standard dynamics, plenty of reasons to look for shots here, right? Of course, the invalidations in place, got to be safe within your trades and not let it run away from you. So stops above this high, simple, and target this region of consolidation with some possible runners back to this low, right? So that was the game plan for Ethereum. Turned out quite the opposite. We had no stops in this region. We did not even stop for one moment. As a matter of fact, we did not even consolidate here, neither did we get a rejection here. We literally broke through this entire zone into this supply area, which I have marked out. See, and see how beautifully it is getting rejected off of the supply zone right here. Of course, it's not going to be exactly precise, right? It's going to do some choppy stuff out here. It's going to take some liquidity out of these levels, possibly this level as well. So then this is now going to become the next level of, it's going to put in the tag as well for this. And there's a lot of interest right now in the market in terms of the order book that is showing some activity of short positions being accumulated in the zone. Pretty much the market makers are starting to now accumulate some short positions in the zone all the way up to, they're going to start accumulating all the way up to this zone, I have a feeling. Right now, what the order book says is we are accumulating orders for short entries to target this level. And that will pretty much coincide with what Bitcoin is also doing. So I'll get to the Bitcoin aspect of things on the higher time frame in just a moment once I finish with the Ethereum chart. So so these are the possibilities, right? Where we accumulate into this zone as well. Maybe grab some liquidity above these highs, take out the stops here, induce the players into going long here, retailers, and then we come back down. And that would be a perfect head and shoulder pattern on the 4-hour chart, right? Then we essentially come back to test this neckline right here. It would be something like, actually, let's keep that in there. So, right, so let's just say this, something like this would be the neckline, right? And then it would also coincide with this high and this supply zone, where we would essentially reject off of and come back all the way to the 1700 zone. Probably likely that something like that happens, and we would also get this kind of a situation where we have this trend, right? Come back to test this trend line, possibly go in here, create a triple top formation, right? So these are plenty of opportunities available now on Ethereum, mostly towards the downside. Probably not looking to take a long. Maybe if you would be looking to take a long, this is a potential opportunity, which is what I had marked out, which is the $3,000 level. That's going to be a massive resistance. $3,000 is something that they're not going to let the market go away from. As I said, it's also going to coincide with the swing high of the December swing high of $4,000 and the April swing low of $1,380, right? Right here. And now we're going to probably, if at all, the market wants to come into the zone, it looks like it might do that, right? This would be a good place to then look for some potential short opportunities back to this region. Then we might end up consolidating within the 2000 zone. And this is the bullish scenario, which is where we then start targeting back into the all-time high zone, possibly. absolutely possible. These I'm just giving out potential scenarios, right? To the upside and to the downside. So these are some levels that I've marked out in the short term. These five levels are going to be key, very key levels for Ethereum. So just mark it out on your chart, pause the video, and you can mark it out for future reference. I'll definitely anyway come back to the chart to see how it goes. I'll be coming back to it because I do trade Ethereum on the regular. So definitely going to come back to the chart. The moment also we have another additional situation that's lining up for Ethereum is that we still have yet to uh, test this trend line. You see this trend line right here? After we tapped in and we broke down, we broke out of this trend line. We still have not come back to test either of this, right? We didn't even, so we do have a lot of opportunity for the price to come back and test these zones because there's a lot of liquidity here, right? So we're gonna have to probably somehow cool off, come and test these trend lines. We have this trend line right here, we have this trend line right here. So we have some confluence that points to Ethereum kind of coming back to test these zones more than the possibility of it going way above, right? Right now, I don't think Ethereum has enough juice to do that. So yeah, let's just see what happens and wait for the price to test this level next. The 2850 level is going to be next opportunity for Ethereum to then showcase what it wants to do. Let's see. Patience is the name of the game. Let's wait and see what happens. All right, so this is what we have on Ethereum. Let me go into some altcoins, my previous analysis, and let's just see where we are at with all of that. Yeah, beautiful. Same thing with Sui as well. As I said, Sui had been doing something similar, right? Now, since we have these wicks, I'm going to move it, this price label on top, and let me just move place where it's visible here. All right, so just take a look at this price, 3.437, right? Yeah. So these are pretty much the same prices that I had marked out on the chart, and the zone I had mentioned to people on the live stream that it's going to be a supply zone. It's going to be an important area of resistance. We are resisting out here. Look at these candles that are forming. Right, zoom in and take a look at the rejection. This is what is known as a resistance structure formation, and a double top situation forming on Sui. A lot of bearish scenarios. I have been pointing out a lot of bearish scenarios on Bitcoin from the past week or so because it is absolutely important to point out what the chart has been showcasing all this while. I mean, it will take some time for the price and the structure to form, but there are pre-signs that the market is showing, and it will keep showing what it wants to do as and when the price develops. Might take its own time to come to these prices, but it'll inevitably reach there before we kind of do things that are of the opposite nature of what I'm pointing out, essentially. Right. So this is part coin. Had mentioned we're going to tap into the zone, the buy zone, and we're going to get a pump. And we did get a pump. And if you want me to measure that out, I'll show you how much on part coin. Funny, right? People might be hesitant to trade something like fart coin and stuff like that. You really want to see the actual dynamics of the token and the way it trades. That's 51%, 4,867 points. 51%. Let that be known that it's just this much of a move, and that is within a span of 4 days. It, kind of tokens are doing 51% in 4 days. If you want to know what it's doing in a span of 1 month, 3rd April to 3rd May, right? Let me measure that out for you. That's 250% in a span of 1 month. right? So this is the power of altcoins. 250%. That's 9,199 points. I literally had to take a deep breath and actually see the beauty of something like this. 250%, right? And it's been trading so well. Beautiful dynamics, trading it in such a lovely way that anybody can trade it. But at the moment, I would say do be careful into looking at any buying opportunities until we start breaking out of this consolidation. Then sure, there's a possibility for it to go a little higher. But I'm starting to see some bearish again. I'm slightly on more on the bearish side on everything right now because yeah, that's what the chart is showing me. I did say that when we were at the zone, we are going to come down, and we did. That's exactly what happened, and then we came back up. Right now, we're probably going to do the same thing, unless there's a possibility where we might consolidate some more within this, and then we have to wait for a break of this consolidation. Then we'll see what happens. Right? It's Potcoin and Peanut. Yeah, look at Peanut. This is a trade that I offered. Totally cool, lovely trade. This trade was offered on the 3rd of May. It was like about 15 days now. I think I offered this, yeah, around 4th May, which is around 10 days ago when I offered this trade. And see how clean, beautiful the trade played out. And of course, we've gone way further from that as well. That's again 220%. This is the kind of moves that are happening in the crypto market for people who are still hesitant and uncertain of things, right? This is the kind of crazy stuff that goes on out here. This is the 5th May, 6th May, which is not even just exactly a week ago. It's been 7 days, right? From here to here, in 7 days, it has given up 225%. That's a 33,500 point move. Again, had to take a deep breath to just come to terms with something so crazy as this, right? Yeah, Trump token is all right. Nothing too crazy about it. These are the levels. Anybody's interested, which I had marked out. EOS. Yeah, EOS. Lovely stuff. Had marked out these key levels, and we did get a lovely move. Again, it's just been a couple of days, and we had a 45% move. I did say that this trend line is holding up, and we're going to get a move into these zones. That's exactly what we did. Now we might be looking to retest this trend line once more. Let's see. Let's see. Just leave that on the Ondo. Yeah, it's playing out exactly as I predicted. Did get this move into the zone again a week ago. Did predict all of this. Beautiful, lovely analysis on the charts playing out exactly. Pendle. Yeah. Whoa. Okay. Hold up. There we go. Now I'm seeing something cool happening on an altcoin, which I initially did not think would happen at this moment because Bitcoin is bearish, right? But look at this. This is an opportunity on Pendle right here. Of course, we do have invalidation. It's absolutely possible. So I'm going to keep a low risk price at its at right now. It's a 3 hour trade. All right. This is a possible trade opportunity on Pendle right here. Because I'm seeing some bullish momentum develop rather than a bearish one, right? You see, this is a bullish situation on Pendle. We are starting to now convert this resistance zone into a into a bullish one. Excuse me. So that's what's happening. Looking pretty interesting, and looks like Bitcoin is starting to pump out of nowhere. Let's get to that quickly. It's happening. Wait, I think we just got almost about to get stopped out of our trade. Yeah, we are. What is this? Ah, crazy. As I said, market is volatile, low risk, small capital trade. Boom, we're out of it. Got stopped out. That is the reality of the situation. Part of the game. Be honest, gotta take losses every now and then. I don't think there's any business in the entire world that runs only on profit 900% of the time. There's obviously some losses involved within a business, and this also is a business, essentially. Simple as that. If we are out of this trade, just gotta take it for what it is and move on to the next one. Simple. As I said, I did place the disclaimer of the market being volatile. Low risk, small capital trades are what is recommended in this environment at the moment, because New York Open is always like this. It's there to create uh, uncertain situation and trap traders into going into different difficult positions unnecessarily, right? Doing these kind of things. Yeah, but it's part of it. That's precisely why I like to take these smaller, low capital, low risk trades during these sessions, is because of this manipulations that happens during this time, right? I like to trade with much bigger capital during the Asia session. The London sessions trade way more clean, smooth price action, way lesser manipulations. If you look at this move, today's Asia session, right? And the London session, lovely trading session. Beautiful, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher lows. Beautifully done. So clean, beautiful trade opportunity during these sessions. A nice 2000 point move. Beautiful. But if you look at this nasty session going on the New York session, which is pretty much what it's been like on the past 2 weeks or so, right, on Bitcoin. Been doing this for a while. It's been trading really badly in the New York session. Past 2 weeks, it's been trapping a lot of traders. This is a very clean trade. Actually speaking, the trade that we took today is very clean. And of course, I made sure to keep an invalidation with a small risk. Target these lows, right? Quite a technical trade, simple, but we did get stopped out because of this random buy that came through. Just people just making some random buying opportunities and sweeping out all this liquidity of people, which usually doesn't shouldn't happen. Technically, it shouldn't happen until we reach a point of support, right? Where the market start when the market starts front running prices before it reaches certain key levels, that is an indication of a certain kind of manipulation. Usually, that is the case because for the market to be healthy and trade well, it should reach key levels and trade within certain zones and bounce between certain zones to take the dynamic shape that it usually trades with, and pretty much what is the accepted formation of how the market behaves, right? So, this could also be an additional possibility for a short trade here. Right here, as we're getting tapped into this trend line, there is a absolutely a possibility here. But let's just wait and see what happens. It's best to just kind of relax out here because, as you very well know, the market is volatile. It's gonna chop people up, no doubt. But I'm definitely gonna be looking to take a shot here for sure. Get a retest of this. Definitely be a super duper shot. But I'm not gonna take that. Just gonna wait and see what happens. Just gonna relax. Yeah, see, the market is super volatile. Made sure to post that as a disclaimer. I'm going to be posting it for the foreseeable future during all the live streams because I know for a fact that that's at least until Bitcoin kind of cools down. We are at a euphoric phase of this cycle right now on Bitcoin. If I open up coin market cap, let's take a look at there we go. As I said, we are at greed level. So when the market reaches these greed levels, You notice, right? Soon as we tap into these zones, it starts then reaching a point where it does want to kind of come back down. Look here, we reached extreme fear at around the 40,000, 54,000 level, 84, sorry, excuse me, this was the 78,000 level, and then we had the 74, 76,000 level, right? So when we reach these zones, just look at the kind of confluence here, massive confluence, and it broke out at this zone, which was the fourth, sorry, it was the 11th, 13th, 14th of April, right here for a big move up. Crazy stuff. Actually, this fear and greed index chart, something that I'm gonna add to my strategy as well. Look at that. It's actually some really good confluence to take trades based off of. Even like, trend line based stuff. If you draw a trend line, connect these lows, just look at the big move down, and we had the same thing here as well. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Of course, we need to observe the overbought, oversold regions. Fear and greed, essentially the same thing, right? Wow, pretty cool. But yeah, right now, that's what I'm saying. We are at the 71% greed level. We still have some way to go, looks like. Probably possible that we might go up a little bit further. Yeah. So the altcoin season index. What do we look at? Yeah, I think nothing too great. Still in the Bitcoin season. Let's check out the Bitcoin dominance. All right, interesting. Yeah, Bitcoin dominance is still going up. Still have a ways to go to hit that. But we are reaching a resistance zone on the altcoin dominance. Excuse me, the Bitcoin dominance. There is a possibility of some kind of resistance here. As I've been saying, we are slightly bearish right on Bitcoin, so possible, anything is possible. But as I said, there is a possible here a short opportunity on Bitcoin because we did tap into this trend line, and usually when the market manipulates like this, it is some kind of signal that it wants to either take out this liquidity, trap traders all the way to the upside and then come back down, just like it did here, right? So yeah, that's how you take these kind of trades. You got to be quick on the feet, dynamic, adaptive in this kind of markets. Otherwise, difficult to trade within such a crazy volatile market situation. The only way to do that is got to be quick and fast on the feet, adapt as soon as possible, and take much larger winners than the losers so that your overall portfolio will be in profit regardless. All right, so with that, I think I'm going to log off and end the stream. I will be back tomorrow during the same time, post New York opening. All right, hope you guys trade safely, take care of yourselves, and I will see you all on the next one.